What's going on, YouTube? JB here. Figured I'd get out and do a little riding today. Finally had some decent weather. Not too cold, not too hot. Decided I'd get out and see what the day has for me. Wanted to talk a little bit today about how to make longer rides a little more bearable. Just a few tricks that I've picked up either from riding myself or from other motovloggers or other bikers that I have been told in the past. We will get to that right after this. First things first, I want to apologize for the audio. I recorded this whole thing, and when I got home and started looking at it, I realized that none of the audio for it had recorded. So we're going to have to just do a voiceover today. But what I wanted to talk about, as I said before the intro, was how to make your longer rides more bearable, more enjoyable. With springtime right around the corner, getting warmer days, getting out on the weekends, people will be taking longer rides and just riding more. And this will help for either short rides, long rides, multi-day rides. Really doesn't matter. It'll just help overall. So I got a few hints, tricks, everything from major modifications to just things you can do along the way beforehand, whatever. The first thing I want to talk about is modifying your bike. What I mean most about that is upgrade your seats. That's one of the big ones that you always hear. Generally, stock seats on any bike are not the best. My bike I had before the one I currently have, I ended up upgrading the seats on it. I have not upgraded the seats on this one yet. That is possibly a plan in the future, but right now, no. So the seats on the bikes is one of the biggest ones that you'd have to do. It's also probably the most expensive mod. Because now they have everything from the gel to memory foam, high backs, just anything you want. It's a wide open market. So other things you could do are the engine guards or the crash guards, depending on what you call them, and of course installing foot pegs and windscreens, depending on the type of bike you have. Some bikes you could even install fairings on. So I mean it's a whole wide open market. Of course, the foot pegs will allow you to adjust your feet during the ride. Windscreens will keep so much buffeting off your helmet. The engine guards, some engine guards are designed with places to rest your feet already built into them. Others you have to install the foot pegs on. Either way, that's always a really good start. There's tons of other modifications you could do, but those are probably some of the main ones that I know of. The next thing we got is just something that will help you while you're actually out riding, and that's frequent stops. Just it's generally recommended every 1 to 2 hours you stop. You it gives you a chance to get off the bike, to stretch your legs, stretch your arms, get out of the helmets, take your leathers off if it's summer. It's all of it just helps. So that's one thing that really and one thing you really got to learn. Yeah, it says most people say between 1 and 2 hours. Some people can't go that long. you know Depending on your style bike, your style riding, you might have to stop every 45 minutes. So just listen to your body and what it's telling you. That's the main thing. If you're starting to hurt, find a spot to pull over. That's the best way to do it. Just like I said, listen to what your body's telling you to do. The next thing, and it kind of ties in with number 2 a little bit, is drink plenty of fluids. The last thing you want to do, especially on these hot days when the temperatures really start going up this summer, you out here in leathers and long pants, long shirts like I have on now, all this kind of stuff, it does get kind of warm. So drink plenty of fluids. You do not want to start getting dehydrated. If you start getting thirsty, you've already waited too late. So the reason I say it kind of ties in with the other one is every time you stop, get you something to drink. That's generally the best way to do it. A lot of people will use hydration packs on their backs, kind of the backpack style, and they can drink continuously while they're riding. Generally, I just stop fairly often. I keep water or energy drinks. I try to stay away from Cokes, not energy drinks, sports drinks. I stay away from Cokes, any sugary things, energy drinks. That's just me. I mean, once again, listen to what your body is telling you. So that's what I can tell you the best on that. The next thing is something some people are not comfortable doing, and that is move around on the bike. These bikes ain't gonna fall over that easy, or they shouldn't. I should put it like that. Several of the motovloggers and stuff that I've watched, that was one of their hints, was move around every about 15 minutes or so. And I'm not saying jump around on the bike, of course, but if you got foot pegs, take your feet off the pegs and put them up on your forward pegs. You can. One of the things I'll do is I have floorboards on my bike, so I will put my heels on the floorboard and have my toes resting on the foot pegs. I have them down that low, and I can kind of push on them like that to kind of stretch my muscles. I can also take and put my heels on the foot pegs and rock them forward, and that'll help stretch the muscles in my legs. And I can move back and put my toes on it and push down. and I can even kind of lock my legs and push back and kind of tighten everything up. I can't do it on my bike, but I have done it on bikes before. Mine has a backrest on it. If yours don't, you can actually kind of set up and set onto that backrest to stretch your legs. On the footboards themselves, I can kind of put my feet on the front and let my toes kind of go push down, or I can put them, sit square on them, or I can rock all the way back and push down right there. And another thing that I will do is I'll actually shift side to side in the seat a little bit. I kind of push over one way, and it just kind of, it'll help stretch your back a little bit. And that's what you want. I mean, no major movements, nothing that will offset the bike or, anything like that, but stuff that will just help you move around. One motovlogger I watched talks about he's got a rhythm that he'll just constantly, well, not constantly, but within about every 10 to 15 minutes, he's changing positions, whether he's getting stiff or not. And he's just got a cycle that he's constantly going through. And he's one of them extreme long distance riders. That's where I got that hint from. The last thing, the last tip I got is it actually happens before you ever leave on your trips. Now this will get into your real long distance, sometimes multi-day trips, things like that, because it's hard to just jump on a bike, especially if you're used to only doing 50 to 100 miles at a time, to jump on and tear out 500 to 600, 700 miles in a day. That has the makings of a really long day. So one of the things you need to do before you ever leave on your trip is actually, for lack of a better word, train yourself. Just like going to the gym repetitively builds them muscles up, riding continuously and pushing just a little bit every time you get on. If you can ride 100 miles and you're comfortable with that, start trying to push 120 or 130, 150, and just constantly increase your distance. That is probably one of the main things you can do that will help you. Because just like with anything else, you have to train your body on what you expect from it. Another thing, when you're actually planning your trips, and I'll just talk about things I do when I'm planning a trip. I don't treat the destination as the trip, kind of like what you would do in a car. The destination is the total part of the trip. In a motorcycle trip, to me, it's the whole journey from beginning to end. So one of the things I do, even if I'm running interstates or anything like that, when I'm figuring up my times for my destinations, I always use slower speeds. And what I mean by that, if I'm running the interstate and you can run 70 to 75, some people run faster than that, but I'm going to stick with 70 to 75. And as you notice, I'm running a little faster than that now. But I generally will calculate my distances at about 60 miles an hour. What that will do is, if you need to make more stops or you need longer stops than what you plan, and I will talk about that more in just a second, then by you calculating at a slower speed, you've built time in, and worst case scenario, you get there earlier, if you don't need any of the extra times. So that's one of the things I always do. If I've got a 4-hour trip, or I'm planning on driving 4 hours, and I'm just guesstimating here, I will plan for 6 hours. And on top of that, whenever you are planning out, after you figured your mileage and how long it'll take, make sure you calculate in those rest breaks, and if you're going to have to stop for meals during it, be sure and add 15 to 30 minutes for each rest break. You might not take it, but once again, you're just padding it is all you're doing. Same thing with meals. Are you planning on just grabbing something out of a quick stop, or have you packed a sandwich? In that case, you'd plan for maybe 30 minutes. If you were going in somewhere to sit down and eat, you probably want to plan for an hour or a little better. So make sure you have that in, because there ain't nothing worse than you deciding you see a really good place that you want to go eat, and you go in and eat, and you come back and you realize you've still got another 3 or more hours to drive, and you were planning on being there in about 1.5 to 2. So you don't want to try to have to make up time. So make sure you're planning accordingly. I guess that is about all the tips I have right now. We may revisit this later on, as I come up with some more, or plan some of my trips of my own and get through them. Some more tips that I might can come up with. Anything that y'all do that I haven't mentioned, please leave it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on some things y'all do to make things better. If you like this video, hit that like button, and click that subscribe. And as always, until next time, be safe.